Hi guys, my name is Haley. I am 21 years old and I am from Prior Lake, Minnesota. I am here to share a pretty intense story that recently happened to my son and I this past summer. I'm not only sharing it to spread awareness to the safety and how you buckle your child, but more so just because I want to see if anyone has gone through something similar or has any advice for going through something like this, because obviously this happened about 5 months ago now, but I'm still dealing with so much going with this. So it's still a long way from over, but I'm excited to finally be in a position to share with you guys. So it was June 8th this past summer. It was about 10:30 at night, so it was dark outside. And it was just my 2-year-old son and I in the car. He was in the back seat. We were leaving the laundromat in Plainfield. And he wanted to go to Thornton's to get donuts. So we were going to Thornton's to get donuts because whatever Jay wants, he gets. So we were headed that way. Got there and everything. That was actually our last destination before this happened. For anyone who knows me personally in my real life, they know that I need a GPS to get anywhere. So I put in the GPS to get home because I live in Morris, so it's about a 25-30 minute drive from where I was at. And the quickest route took me on frontage road. So it's a road that kind of has a wall, so it divides the highway and like the side road from each other. So it's a two-way traffic. We were just driving, and I noticed when he was maybe like 3 yards away, he kind of swerved into the other lane, but he quickly caught himself and kind of got back into the lane that he was supposed to be in. So in my mind, I kind of thought like, oh, he probably just glanced down at his phone really quick and he realized like, what the heck, I've done that a few times in my life, so like I understand. But then when he got closer, like real close, I realized like, okay, no, he's definitely about to hit us. So I turned around and I said, I love you to Jalen. And then it was a pretty loud boom and crash for like about 2 to 3 minutes, I want to say, at least. Then when everything went quiet, my first instinct, like I just kind of looked back at Jalen to kind of like see, kind of like evaluate the situation. I remember the only thing I could see was like the white in his eyeballs, the rest was blood. And he kind of like reached his arm out and he said, help me. And that's something that he normally says when we get home or, we get to our destination and he wants to get out of his seat, like help me out, like unbuckle me. But I think in this case he meant like, help me, like, I don't know if he felt it or not because he wasn't crying at this point. He was actually really quiet. I believe he was in shock. I was too. And so I remember trying to open my car door to, get him out of the car, and since that's kind of where the car was hit at, it wouldn't open. And when I kind of tried to wiggle out of my seat to, get into the back seat to get him out, that was when I realized, like, holy shit, my leg is broken. Like, I cannot walk. The mindset of I cannot walk is not a thing when your 2-year-old's in the back seat bleeding to death. So I literally remember just crawling in between the 2 seats and, going to reach for him and getting him out. I did get him out successfully. I remember I was in more of like a mauve, like tannish colored hoodie, and, by the end of the time, that hoodie was no longer tan. The guy that hit us came out of his car about 2 minutes later and he had his hands in the air. I just remember him saying like, I'm so sorry, I fell asleep, I just worked a 19-hour shift. Like, he was so apologetic. I don't even believe at that moment in time he knew what was going on. I just remember him saying he couldn't see, so I'm not sure if when he fell asleep the airbag exploded in his face, in his eyes, or what happened, but I just remember asking him if he had a phone because we needed to get help, and neither of us had a phone at this moment in time. I want to say about 5 more minutes passed, and my son's still, I'm holding him really close to me, and I'm trying my hardest not to yell for help because I don't want to scare him any more than he already is, but I just remember holding him and, kind of screaming out that we needed someone to come right away. And within a couple of minutes, there were quite a few people, coming out of the woodwork, jumping fences, coming to try and help us. And I just remember seeing a lot of people in the distance on their phones trying to call for help. And then I do remember specifically like this girl, she had more of like a reddish color hair. She came up to me, like a lot of people who just kind of kept their distance, but I just remember her coming up close and personal to my son and I, and so that's why it really stood out to me. But basically I remember asking her if I could use her phone to call his dad, because I knew that, you know, I was gonna need help and he was gonna need help, and you know, my baby needed somebody in the room with him and he needed his dad. And so I remember asking her to use her phone, and I remember her, you know, openly wanting to let me use her phone, and then when I, you know, grabbed my hand from under Jalen to, you know, go to grab her phone, my hand was just entirely filled with blood. And I remember her kind of looking at me like, you know, lady, you're crazy, you're not gonna use my phone. And she goes, I'll call. And she walked away, but she didn't even know his phone number. It was just crazy. But anyways, I remember about a minute or two after that, there were sirens, so I knew that, you know, somebody had finally reached out and the paramedics and help was on the way. As soon as they arrived, they grabbed Jalen from me. You know, there was no time. They needed to grab him and they needed to go. And I remember I wanted to wait around. I did wait around for the gentleman to take a blood and alcohol test, because in my heart, I wasn't leaving until I knew like what happened. Like I couldn't, you know, I knew his dad was on the way. I knew my son, you know, I just knew I needed to know what was going on. And within, you know, 30 seconds, they had that back and it was all zeros. And at this time when we're waiting for that to come back, they're bandaging me up, you know, they're trying to get my leg in a position where we can move. And I remember that guy just, you know, apologizing and sitting there, and, you know, he didn't really know what to say or what to do. I just remember saying, you know, we need to go, you know, we need to get to Jalen. So, you know, we were there at the same time. We were getting out of the ambulance pretty much at the same time. And when I got into the emergency room, I just remember hearing Jalen's cry. And I knew, like, the paramedic had told me before, like, if he cries, that's a good sign. That means he feels the pain. That means he's reacting to the pain. So since he's crying, you know, this is good. This is a good sign. So I remember seeing his dad kind of like walk across the room as I was being pulled into my room. So I just remember feeling a sense of relief, like, okay, he's crying and his dad's here and he has someone with him and he feels the pain, so like he's gonna be okay. And I remember having my nurse that was, you know, checking on me, trying to make sure I was okay, go and check on him. Like every time she came in to check on me, I was saying like, can you please go check on, you know, let me know what's going on. And then finally his dad came and kind of updated me. And then I remember I was put to sleep for like a brief period of time. And then I just remember waking up in a super bright room. Like it wasn't like an emergency room or anything like that, because my son was next to me in a bed. But it was just a big room with a lot of lights. And I remember waking up and I was just kind of face up and it was just really bright. And then I just remember looking to my left and I just saw my baby. And he was all stitched up now, like he was okay, he was breathing, you know, he was kind of smiling, you know, he was on a lot of pain medicine, but he was there and alive, very much so alive. And I just remember thinking like, okay, I'm alive, I don't know if I'm in heaven, but we're alive. He's right here next to me, everything's gonna be okay. And then I looked over to my right and I saw his dad, and so I knew we were in heaven and I knew we were in real life. And I just remember feeling so thankful that, you know, he was here and he was okay and that we were in the same place. So if you're taking anything from this video, honestly, it would just be if you're a mom or a dad or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent, it would just be to honestly buckle your grandchild or your child in correctly and take that extra minute to make sure that it's tight and it's, you know, where it should be, because honestly, you never know. You could be the best driver that there is, but the people that are on the road that you're driving with, you know, they could have been super tired, like, you know, this guy, or they could be drinking like they shouldn't be, or, you know, they could be under the influence of, you know, anything. So just being super, super knowledgeable on that, I feel like is super important for me. And if I save one baby's life, if one person watches this and like they're like, whoa, her story's crazy and now I'm gonna pay more attention to this, and something happens where one baby's life is saved in this entire life, I'll feel like this video and all the time and money spent on it was like more than worth it.